The Zarian Observatory hung like a jeweled pendant against the backdrop of space, its crystalline structures refracting starlight in mesmerizing patterns. Ambassador Sarah Chen stood at its viewport, her reflection overlaying the spectacular view of Earth below. The year was 2157, and humanity was about to make the biggest mistake in its history, telling the truth. "You understand, Ambassador Chen." First speaker Vexthal's translucent appendages rippled with what her neural translator suggested was amusement, that claims require evidence. The towering arthropoid's compound eyes reflected the soft blue glow of holographic displays showing Earth's quantum technology achievements. Sarah maintained her diplomatic smile, though her jaw tightened imperceptibly. 6 months of first contact negotiations had taught her that the Galactic Concordat's representatives viewed humanity as amusing pets at best, potential servants at worst. Yet Earth's United Council had insisted on transparency, on sharing their breakthroughs in quantum manipulation technology. "Of course, first speaker." Sarah gestured to the hovering display. "Our quantum fold drives have already revolutionized our solar system travel. We believe sharing this technology could benefit all species in the Concordat." Vexthal's mandibles clicked in what she had learned was their version of patronizing laughter. "Fascinating. Truly fascinating. But surely you understand that quantum manipulation at this scale requires centuries of development. Our own quantum sciences division has spent millennia perfecting these principles." Sarah's hand brushed against the quantum core hidden in her jacket pocket, a device smaller than her palm that contained more computing power than the entire observatory. She could have demonstrated their capabilities right there, proved humanity's advancement. But her orders were clear: appear helpful but harmless. Perhaps a demonstration. She offered instead, knowing the response before Vexthal's translator even processed her words. "That won't be necessary," the first speaker dismissed with a wave of their upper appendage. "The Concordat has protocols for integrating developing species. We'll begin with cultural exchange programs. Under supervision, of course. In a few centuries, once your species has properly matured." Sarah kept her expression neutral as Vexthal outlined humanity's integration plan, what amounted to centuries of technological quarantine and cultural guidance. Through her quantum-enhanced neural implant, she sent a single encrypted thought to Earth Command: "They're not ready." The response came instantly: "Understood. Proceed with Protocol Omega." What the Concordat couldn't know, was that humanity had been watching them for decades. Long before their first contact ships arrived, Earth's quantum observation networks had mapped every corner of nearby space. They knew exactly how the Concordat treated developing species as resources to be exploited, workforces to be controlled. Earth had hoped for better. They had hoped that by appearing honest and forthright, they might forge genuine alliances. But as Sarah listened to Vexthal outline how humanity would be uplifted through carefully controlled exposure to basic technologies, she activated Protocol Omega. Across Earth's solar system, advanced quantum facilities that had been operating in perfect stealth began their shutdown sequences. Orbital defense platforms switched to primitive radar systems. Quantum communication networks were replaced by radio waves. To any external observer, humanity appeared to regress centuries in technological development. "We are honored by the Concordat's guidance," Sarah said, bowing slightly. "Earth looks forward to learning from your wisdom." As she left the observatory, Sarah felt Vexthal's dismissive gaze on her back. Let them think humanity primitive. Let them believe Earth desperate for their technology. It would make the truth, when it finally came, all the more shocking. Because while Earth would play the role of an eager student, they would be watching, learning, preparing, and when the Concordat inevitably tried to exploit them, as they had so many other species, humanity would reveal just how far they had truly come. In her pocket, the quantum core hummed softly, its computations already modeling exactly how that revelation would unfold. Humanity had chosen patience over pride, preparation over proclamation. They would play the long game. And when words alone weren't enough, when the Concordat's true nature was fully exposed, humanity would demonstrate why underestimating Earth was the greatest mistake any civilization could make. Captain Maya Rodriguez stood in the observation deck of the UES Nightshade, her ship invisible to every known detection system in the galaxy. Through quantum-shifted glass, she watched a Concordat mining fleet strip mine an inhabited world, their massive ships tearing through the pristine surface of a pre-industrial civilization's homeworld. "Recording everything?" she asked, though she already knew the answer. Every second, Lieutenant Park confirmed from his monitoring station, adding it to the archive with the other 10,000 documented violations. The archive, humanity's greatest secret. While playing the role of technological primitives, Earth's stealth ships had spent 5 years documenting the Concordat's activities across 300 star systems. The evidence was damning. Ecological devastation, species exploitation, cultural destruction, all hidden behind a facade of benevolent guidance. Maya's neural implant pinged with an incoming quantum transmission from Earth Command. "Status report. Mining operation proceeding as anticipated," she subvocalized. "The Kettle's atmospheric processors will fail within 3 generations. Their civilization won't survive." "Understood. Maintain observation protocols. Do not intervene." Maya's jaw clenched. The hardest part of being humanity's watchers was precisely that, watching. Every captain in the Silent Fleet had sworn the same oath: observe, record, but never interfere. Not until the time was right. "Contact," Lieutenant Park announced suddenly. "Concordat warship dropping out of FTL. Designation matches the Enforcer-class destroyer that visited Earth last month." Maya smiled grimly. "The same ship that demonstrated their advanced weapons technology to our Defense Council." "Affirmative. They're still using the same outdated quantum shield configurations we fed them." Through the quantum-shifted viewport, Maya watched the Enforcer-class ship take up position above the mining operation. Its captain would be reporting another successful resource acquisition to the Concordat Council, never knowing the humans had perfect recordings of every atrocity committed. "New contact," Park reported. "Small transport vessel, attempting to flee the mining zone. Life signs match Kettle civilians." Maya watched as the Enforcer's weapon systems powered up, targeting the desperate refugees. Her hand tightened on the railing. The Nightshade's true weapons could vaporize the Concordat ships in microseconds. One command, and they could save those civilians. But that wasn't their mission. Not yet. "Add it to the archive," she ordered, her voice tight. "Tag it as priority evidence." The transport vessel never stood a chance. The Enforcer's weapons reduced it to atoms, its passengers becoming nothing more than another statistic in humanity's growing catalog of Concordat crimes. "Captain," Park's voice was quiet. "Permission to speak freely?" Maya nodded, knowing what was coming. "How much longer? How many more do we watch die while we wait?" "Until we're ready," Maya replied, though the words tasted bitter. "Until we can save everyone, not just a few." Her neural implant pulsed with another transmission, this one marked urgent. As the data streamed directly into her consciousness, Maya's expression hardened. "The Concordat has announced their next phase of Earth's integration," she announced to her crew. "They're sending an oversight fleet to establish permanent bases in our system." The bridge crew exchanged knowing looks. This was what they had been waiting for. The Concordat's inevitable attempt to establish direct control over Earth. "Send word to all Silent Fleet vessels," Maya ordered. "Operation Looking Glass is now active. Return to Sol System under full quantum stealth." As the Nightshade prepared to depart, Maya took one last look at the devastated planet below. For 5 years, humanity had watched the Concordat's true nature reveal itself. They had gathered evidence, prepared their responses, and positioned their assets. Now, as the Concordat moved to exert control over Earth, they would learn why humanity's patience should not have been mistaken for weakness. The Silent Fleet would reveal itself, and with it, the truth about who truly held technological superiority. Set course for Earth, Maya commanded. It's time to show the galaxy what happens when words alone aren't enough. The nightshade vanished into quantum space, leaving behind no trace of its presence, just as humanity had left no trace of their true capabilities. But soon, very soon, the galaxy would understand exactly what they had been hiding. And the Concordat would learn that their greatest mistake wasn't attempting to control humanity. It was giving humanity time to prepare. The Concordat's oversight fleet arrived with all the subtlety of a supernova. 300 ships, their hulls gleaming with artificial superiority, dropped out of FTL in perfect formation above Earth. From her position in the lunar quantum bunker, Admiral Helen Zhao watched them take up strategic positions around humanity's homeworld. Quite the show of force, she remarked to her staff, her tone carrying the weight of someone who knew exactly what was about to unfold. Status of Operation Looking Glass. Silent fleet in position, Admiral, her XO reported. All 97 quantum-cloaked battle groups are ready. The archive has been distributed to every major communications hub in Concordat space. Helen nodded, her augmented eyes tracking the movement of Concordat ships with microscopic precision. On her neural display, she watched as High Commander Vexthal's flagship transmitted their demands, though they called them integration protocols, to Earth's supposed leadership. The demands were exactly what humanity had predicted: immediate surrender of all military assets, installation of Concordat advisors in every major government, and the establishment of resource extraction rights across the solar system. In return, humanity would receive the privilege of serving the Concordat's greater good. They're right on schedule, Helen mused. Are they scanning for our defense systems? Affirmative. Their quantum sensors are still locked onto the dummy networks we let them detect. They're reading exactly what we want them to see. For 5 years, humanity had maintained the illusion of technological inferiority. They had allowed the Concordat to detect carefully crafted weaknesses, to believe they were mapping Earth's defensive capabilities. Every scan, every probe, every secret observation had been carefully orchestrated to paint the picture of a vulnerable civilization. Message from the Concordat flagship, her communications officer announced. They're demanding an immediate response to their terms. Helen straightened her uniform, a small smile playing at the corners of her mouth. Send them our prepared reply. Let's see how they handle humanity's first no. The response was immediate and predictable. Concordat weapons powered up, their ships moving into attack formation. High Commander Vexthal's voice boomed across all frequencies, his translator struggling to convey the mixture of condescension and threat in his tone. This is your final warning, he declared. Accept Concordat guidance, or face the consequences of your primitive defiance. Helen's neural implant connected her to every silent fleet captain, every quantum defense platform, every hidden weapon humanity had carefully positioned over the past 5 years. With a thought, she could unleash enough firepower to vaporize the entire Concordat fleet. But that wasn't the plan. Humanity had spent too long gathering evidence, preparing their response, to simply destroy their opponents. This wasn't about victory through violence. It was about justice through truth. Initiate Phase 1, Helen commanded. Across the solar system, quantum transmitters activated. The archive, humanity's carefully compiled record of Concordat atrocities, began broadcasting across every frequency, every communication channel, to every species under Concordat control. 5 years of documented crimes, of recorded brutality, of evidence that could not be denied. Admiral, her tactical officer reported, Concordat ships are launching fighters. They're targeting our major population centers. Helen watched the fighters descend, their weapons hot, their pilots confident in their technological superiority. They had no idea they were flying into the most sophisticated defense grid ever created. They've made their choice, Helen said quietly. Initiate Phase 2. Show them what humanity has been hiding. Around Earth, space itself seemed to ripple as quantum fields shifted. The silent fleet decloaked, their true forms revealing vessels that dwarf the Concordat's largest ships. Defense platforms materialized in perfect firing positions, their weapons already locked on every Concordat vessel. But most importantly, the quantum barrier activated, a planet-wide shield that made humanity's previous defensive capabilities look like stone tools compared to stellar engineering. The Concordat fighters impacted the barrier and simply ceased to exist, converted to energy and absorbed by humanity's quantum grid. On her neural display, Helen watched Vexthal's biosignatures plike with what her systems identified as pure terror. "Open a channel to the Concordat fleet," she ordered. "It's time they learned the cost of mistaking patience for weakness." The next few moments would reshape the galaxy's understanding of humanity. But first, High Commander Vexthal and his fleet would learn a crucial lesson. Sometimes, the most dangerous species aren't the ones who threaten violence. They're the ones who wait, watch, and prepare to deliver justice. Admiral Helen Jo's voice carried across every frequency as she addressed the Concordat fleet, her words translated perfectly into each species' native language through quantum-enhanced systems. "High Commander Vexthal," she began, her tone carrying the weight of 5 years of accumulated evidence. "Humanity rejects your offer of integration. But before you make another mistake, let me show you exactly what you've been trying to subjugate." With a neural command, Helen activated humanity's first demonstration. Around the Concordat fleet, quantum fields shifted. Every weapon system, every engine, every piece of technology more advanced than basic life support simply stopped functioning. 300 ships, the pride of the Concordat's military might, hung helpless in space. "Impossible." Vexthal's voice crackled across the emergency channels, his translator unable to fully convey his shock. "Our quantum shielding was designed using principles we mastered centuries ago," Helen interrupted. "While you were detecting our dummy defense systems, scanning our primitive technology, we were watching you, learning, preparing." The silent fleet moved with perfect precision, surrounding the disabled Concordat vessels. But instead of weapons fire, they projected massive holographic displays visible to every ship in the fleet. The archive began to play. "This is the truth of the Concordat," Helen declared as images of devastated worlds, exploited species, and documented atrocities filled space around them. "This is what you've hidden behind words like integration and guidance." Through her neural link, Helen could monitor the reactions of every Concordat officer as they watched their civilization's crimes displayed in undeniable detail. Some reacted with shock, others with shame, but Vexthal's biosignatures showed only rage. "You dare," he snarled. "You primitive." His words cut off as his personal quantum communicator activated against his will, broadcasting his private commands from the past 5 years. Orders for the exploitation of developing worlds, authorizations for the destruction of refugee ships, plans for Earth's own resource extraction, once they submitted to Concordat control. "Let me be clear," Helen continued, her voice now carrying an edge that made even the most hardened Concordat warriors flinch. "Humanity could have destroyed your fleet the moment you entered our system. We could have replied to your threats with extinction. But that's not who we are." With another neural command, she activated the quantum projectors. Around Earth, massive holographic displays appeared, showing the true extent of human technological advancement. Dyson swarm construction sites in other star systems, quantum fold gates capable of instantaneous travel across the galaxy, and defense systems that made the Concordat's most advanced weapons look like children's toys. "For 5 years, we gave you the chance to prove us wrong," Helen explained. "We watched, we documented, and we hoped that perhaps the Concordat could change. That words and diplomacy might be enough." The silent fleet's quantum cores pulsed in unison, creating a cascading wave of energy that rippled through space. When it passed, every Concordat ship's database had been perfectly copied, their darkest secrets laid bare for the galaxy to see. "But you chose force," Helen continued. "You chose to threaten a species you never bothered to understand. And now you will face the consequences of that choice. Across Concordat space, quantum transmitters activated. The complete archive, combined with the freshly extracted data from their ships, began broadcasting to every world, every station, every quantum-capable device. The truth of the Concordat's rule, impossible to deny or suppress, spread across the galaxy at the speed of thought. Your ships will remain disabled for the next 24 hours, Helen informed them. During that time, you will watch as your empire of lies crumbles. When power is restored, you will have a choice: face justice for your crimes or face humanity's full technological might. The silence that followed was deafening. In that moment, as Concordat officers watched their civilization's carefully maintained facade crack and shatter, they finally understood their greatest mistake. They had mistaken humanity's patience for weakness, their observation for ignorance, their preparation for primitive development. But most importantly, they had failed to understand that sometimes the most dangerous response to threats isn't immediate violence. It's the calculated, precise application of truth. 3 months after humanity's demonstration, the galaxy bore little resemblance to its former self. The great halls of the New Earth Conclave, built with quantum-engineered crystals that seemed to defy physics itself, hosted representatives from over 1,000 species. Many had been former subjects of the Concordat. Others were civilizations that had hidden from its influence. All were here to witness the birth of a new galactic order. Ambassador Sarah Chen, the same diplomat who had once pretended submission to Concordat demands, stood at the central podium. Behind her, the quantum holographic displays showed real-time images from across the galaxy. Former Concordat worlds choosing their own paths, oppressed species reclaiming their heritage, and the massive humanitarian effort humanity had launched to heal worlds damaged by centuries of exploitation. 5 years ago, Sarah began, her voice carrying to every corner of the vast chamber. Humanity made a choice. When we discovered the true nature of the Concordat, we could have responded with immediate force. Instead, we chose patience, understanding, preparation. The assembled delegates watched as new images appeared. The silent fleet's recordings, the carefully gathered evidence, the years of meticulous documentation that had exposed the Concordat's true nature. Some have asked why we waited, she continued. Why, with our technological superiority, we allowed injustice to continue while we watched and recorded. The answer is simple. True change requires more than force. It requires understanding, evidence, and the willingness to build something better. In orbit above Earth, the quantum fold gates pulsed with energy as ships from across the galaxy arrived, bringing more representatives to the conclave. Each vessel was guided by human quantum controllers, their systems integrated into a network that made space travel safer and more efficient than ever before. The Concordat ruled through fear, ignorance, and the careful control of technology, Sarah explained. They believed that power came from suppression, from keeping others weak. Humanity believes differently. With a gesture, she activated the quantum displays showing the next phase of human initiatives: open technology sharing programs, diplomatic training centers, and most importantly, the establishment of the Galactic Truth Commission, a body dedicated to documenting and preventing the abuse of power. We offer not control, but cooperation, not suppression, but support. Every species here today has something unique to contribute to our shared future. Together, we can build something far greater than the Concordat ever imagined. The chamber erupted in approval, a cacophony of voices, clicks, and electromagnetic pulses that the quantum translators smoothly rendered into a single harmonious message of agreement. In a secure quantum cell at the heart of Earth's Justice Complex, former High Commander Vexthal watched the proceedings with compound eyes that had lost their luster. "You could have destroyed us," he clicked softly to his human guard. "Why didn't you?" Captain Maya Rodriguez, formerly of the Silent Fleet, now serving in the peacekeeping force, answered without turning. "Because destruction is easy. Building something better, that's the real challenge." Across the galaxy, quantum transmitters carried the proceedings to every world, every station, every being capable of receiving them. They watched as humanity, the species the Concordat had dismissed as primitive, unveiled its vision for the future, a galaxy united not by force or fear, but by truth, justice, and mutual respect. The archive remained as a testament and warning, its records accessible to all, ensuring that the mistakes of the past would not be forgotten. But alongside it grew something new, the chronicles of cooperation, documenting each success, each collaboration, each step toward a better future. Sarah Chen concluded her address with words that would be remembered for generations. Humanity's greatest strength was never our technology. It was our ability to wait, to watch, to understand, and then to act not for vengeance, but for justice. Not for power, but for progress. The galaxy once learned what happens when words alone aren't enough.